Yeah, buddy. Woo! What's going on, you guys? Now that the dust is settled, the beta's been over with for a little while now, I wanted to share my thoughts about some of the other characters in the game. As you guys already know, I did some post-beta thoughts and stuff like that about Sol and Kai, so I want to kind of continue that trend with some other characters, and I want to continue the trend here with Axel. So, Axel. Let's talk about Axel. Before I move on with this video, I want to remind you guys, a lot of you guys watching the videos are not actually subscribed, so I'm gonna obviously encourage you guys every video to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date with anything and everything going on here with this channel. So keep it locked, alright? So with that being said, I do want to open up with this about Axel because I think this needs to be said. I do remember early on when they put out the videos from it was IGN, I believe it was, had some matches and they showed Axel off, you know. Then we got the first glimpse of One Vision, right? And One Vision was like the buzz, right? Like, Axel has time stop, this is too good, right? And then of course hype beast culture comes into play and everyone's just like broken. There's in every other video, every other tweet I see, Axel's broken, broken. Is time stop too good? Is time stop too good? Axel broken. Axel too good. Axel best in game. Time stop too good. Axel. Well, I find it very interesting that immediately afterwards, when the beta actually hit, it's very funny how everyone went completely freaking radio silence on this character. I wonder why. Well, since I chose not to participate in hypebeast culture regarding that, I decided to sit back and bide my time and just look and watch everyone change their tune almost instantly about the character. I said it countless times. Even though he has time stop, no one's rushing to go play Axel. In fact, I probably saw more things about Ramlethal than I ever did anything about Axel. Which doesn't surprise me because Guilty Gear is still an aggressive game, and Axel's zoning has never really been super amazing, right? His zoning is good against the characters that he's good against, but like against the majority of the cast, it's not really the case. And I'll be the first to tell you, some people were like trying to rush to go play him because it looked like this is broken, and it's like they were in for a rude awakening and they just saw that he's not broken at all. In fact, One Vision is actually pretty fair. Am I essentially calling out the people with the hypebeast culture? Yes. Yes, I am. And I'm calling them out strictly because while I understand like what this is for the views, for the clicks, I feel you. But like it's also kind of misleading for people to not know whether or not this is broken or not. And I think I would love to see more of people actually testing things out before they jump the gun and say nerf, broken, too good, blah, 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 XYZ. Like, come on. The game even provided us a whole training mode, and I sat there and messed with it, and One Vision is nowhere near broken. So, yeah, that's my subtle jab at the hypebeast culture surrounding One Vision and Axel being broken or top tier. So, now that I've knocked that part of the video out the way, let's start talking about exactly how I feel about Axel and what he brought to the table for this beta. So Axel, as far as I'm concerned, I believe has really good buttons. Some people have complained about his buttons being kind of slow, but I don't really think that that's necessarily a bad thing. A lot of the normals in this version of Guilty Gear have actually been slowed down pretty heavily. You know, Chip's close slash used to be 4 frames. It's like 10 frames in this new game. So that's kind of like, that should be an indicator of like even a character who's really fast got his normals slowed down. I feel like Axel's normals were good, especially during the round start. You know, far slash and the heavy slash, or far slash and the 2H, like these are all really good options. And I feel like in addition to that, his overall zoning is really good. His damage from zoning is really good. And his game plan from older Guilty Gear is still prevalent, like his zoning is still there. I think the biggest thing that's like, the biggest shift to me in Axel now is that his offense, I feel, is a lot better than it was in previous games. Now, I know in Accent Core in particular, you know, that's probably like Accent Core Plus R is probably his best version, right? And he does have some pretty cool and tricky things in which that he can utilize, right? But I feel like this time around, like his kit, while it is very different from that, it actually helps him play a very good and aggressive zoning game on top of holding and maintaining some kind of pressure as opposed to the way he was before. Now, you know, I did see like big differences in the playstyles because I played in the Japanese lobbies a lot. I practiced a good bit against Silent Assassin, who's one of my main training partners. And from playing him and other like Japanese Axels, I saw a big difference in playstyle between the zoning and the offense, the passive aggressive. Like I just saw it all. And I was like, wow, they really did a good job with him. So the fact that, you know, I could see that they worked really well on making sure he can play Guilty Gear well, like that said a lot to me. Now I know that they slowed down his normals from the previous beta, specifically like his stand punch and like crouch punch, but those buttons are still amazing. You know, they still do what they're supposed to do. And even as someone playing his chips, in some cases it can be kind of hard to get in on him. Obviously if you get in on him, then it's kind of like he's toast because he has no uppercut, right? But prior to that time, it is still, you know, you still have to respect him, which I think was a really good design choice, I feel. Of course, as time goes by, maybe some of his general zoning could get like beat up. Like it might not be, like his general zoning will still be good, but like, you know, people will find answers around it, you know? And I'll be the first to tell you that even as Chip, you know, as I said before, like it can be difficult, especially without teleport now. So you have to be a lot more crafty about how you want to get in on him because he still is kind of slow, but he's not amazingly slow, right? Like he's not a Potemkin slow, right? His overall run speed is still pretty quick. His buttons are still pretty okay in terms of speed, but in comparison to Chip, obviously he's slower. So, you know, you have to really approach him carefully. You have to respect him because even like a 3-piece combo from that character will still hurt pretty. It'll still hurt. And in addition to that, he throws you out, right? So he gets to go back to his other game plan, you know, which is zoning. So just about every combo he does zones you out, you know, he does his damage and it throws you away, right? And since it throws you away, it allows him to kind of like gain more real estate, right? So as you're like recovering, he gets to move closer to the corner. So if he corners you, essentially he can break the, you know, he can break the wall, get the positive bonus, and then be right back at round start where his buttons are just as dangerous. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles in that regard. But overall, he's still, I think he's pretty solid despite not having, you know, a good reversal option. He does have his reversal super, which is okay. You know, it does what it's supposed to do, but it does cost 50. In addition to his other defensive options, he does also have access to yellow RC on block, which does help him kind of get away from things. But as I said before, like he still has to spend something. So that kind of goes to show that, you know, from a design standpoint, they made him be a complete wall. And they didn't give him any super duper good reversal options outside of like the super and that because, you know, his return to neutral is already really good, even if you just block him, you know what I mean? So like he does something into like Rensen, like let's say he does 5k 2D Rensen Geki, right? He's gonna throw you back, you know, and you're gonna have to play that game again. Then he can drop explosion, or he can do the, you know, the unblockable into the clothesline. Like he just has really good options. I feel like right now he's in a good place. I think this has got to be, in my honest opinion, the best version of Axel I've ever seen in the series, like hands down. And I've played all the games, guys. I have never seen Axel this good, you know? Could it be a bit better? Of course. Should he have his uppercut? That's subjective. I think his anti-air game is already pretty good. And his damage from anti-airing is really, really, really good. And he gets to throw you backwards, you know? He doesn't have to deal with your crap. He's like, oh, you got hit? All right. Go to that side of the screen and let's get back to it. And then I'll just close the distance, etc., etc. So I feel like all in all, he's good. I think he's really good. Should he have certain things from his old kit? Maybe his counter, but I don't know. I feel like that's not even necessary anymore. Like the way he works now, like he doesn't really have to take any guesses on those things, I feel. So I think he'd be okay without it. His uppercut, we'll see. I don't think he personally needs it at the moment, but who knows? It's hard to say. It's hard to say because we don't have the full game and we don't know what their intentions are for any additional moves or anything of that nature, right? So I do think overall, from what I've seen and played, like looks like his matchup spread is gonna be pretty decent. I think he does pretty good against Potemkin, Nagaryuki, just to name like a few really quickly. Yeah, man, like I feel like his only major weakness is him getting, you know, closed in on. You know, the second you come in, you just try to box him in and make sure he doesn't go anywhere. I think when he gets cornered, it's probably like his weakest position, but I think that's most characters in the game, right? You get cornered, there's a potential chance you can not get out, barring if your character does really good or bad against breaking the wall. No, but that's also barring how far we get into the game and how much we learn about it down the line. But based on the beta, you know what I mean? That's not where you want to be. So, yeah. I think he's good though. Avengers Endgame, I think he's a good character. I think he's a pretty solid character. It's pretty solid. I think as more characters come into the game, you know, we'll kind of see how that pans out and see how his matchup spread moves. But overall right now, I would say he's looking good. So I think, and I mean, not to mention, I guess really quickly, like players like XYZZY, Infiltration, and Sanma, who I actually played myself, they're making Axel look really good, and he definitely can be a problem. Can definitely be a problem. So, yeah. I think that'll about do it here, you guys. I think that's all I gotta say about Axel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, alright? Stay up to date. Stay up to date. Gotta remind you guys, stay up to date. I'm gonna go ahead and get up on out of here. Don't forget to play more Guilty Gear. I don't care if it's Guilty Gear Xrd. I don't care if you're playing, you know, I don't know, Guilty Gear Petite. I don't care if you're playing Dust Strikers on the Game Boy. Just play more Guilty Gear, alright?